All right, number 32, Tennessee Titans. Just really horrible outing. Texans team struggling to put up points, struggling to find momentum, and you give them the momentum. It looks like the Titans are going to be losing their coaching staff pretty soon. Brian Callahan. I think they really just need a clean house, start new, start fresh, and get a good offensive mind. Get someone there for Cam Ward. Don't let Cam Ward have to sit under this for too long, because not good for the rookie. And I know Cam Ward is resilient, but you don't want to let him sit under this staff for too long. You really want to get someone else in there ASAP, or at least change of scenery. In terms of just coaching staff. Jets moved down 4 spots. Oh my God, this is a game. They're moving down the field. The first half, moving down the field, moving down the field. Many times in this game, they're just moving down the field. And it's looking like the Jets, are going to win this football game. Early on, I was like, wow, okay. The Jets are actually putting up a pretty decent game offensively, but the miscues, the mistakes, the penalties, those kind of things, yeah, that's that's how you're going to lose those really bad games. So you're down 4 spots after that. The Saints move up 2 spots after a pretty impressive outing versus the Bills. You can't just look at the score to um, be like, hey, you know, the Bills smoked them. No, they really didn't. The Saints fought in this game for a good 3 quarters, um, maybe a little more. But I'm impressed with the Saints offense. They were able to run the ball very well. Bills not stopping the run well, but the Saints, do what they kind of want there. Unfortunately, you make a couple of mistakes there. I'm not a fan of the Philly special. I'm not a fan of getting cute in the red zone. Close to I'm not a fan of that. I think teams need to stop that. Whether you're in the red zone, whether you're really close to scoring, close to the end zone, I don't like getting cute. Just line up and run it. Just line up, play some football. I really think that's the best way to do it. When you're introducing all these, intricate parts. I'm not saying players aren't capable. I just feel like it leaves more room for error. And the teams down here are pretty much full of error on top of that. Not trying to sound harsh, but it's the truth. But Saints move up 2 spots, rare after a loss, but they put up a good game versus the Bills, and Saints 0-4, but I think Spencer Rattler's playing really well. They have some good pieces there. Kendrick Miller has a big game. They just run the ball really well, and defense made a couple plays too. But yeah, they're up 2 spots after a loss. Raiders are staying put at 29. What a disappointing way to end that game. How do you not put that game away? I mean, you have the offense kept getting opportunities. It's just Geno Smith just can't do it. Geno Smith is to a point where he's more of a liability than anything at this point. It's like 2 out of the last 3 games he throws 3 interceptions. Did he not throw 2 last game? I'm pretty sure he threw 2. Geno Smith just turned the ball over at an insanely high rate, staying put at 29. Just the way the board is moving, I didn't feel the need to move them down below any of these other teams, but these teams ahead of them are ahead of them for a reason. The Dolphins are up 2 spots, man. I mean, okay, that was a decent performance. Once again, kind of similar thing with the Dolphins. They just got fortunate and sometimes with just making a couple a couple more big plays here and there. This game was, I don't think the score can really even tell you how this game went. I think the Jets outplayed the Dolphins for a good amount of this game. It's just those little mistakes killed the momentum. They killed the opportunities you got in the red zone. The first offensive drive, you're going down and you fumble the football. Can't. Big no. But the Dolphins take advantage. They find a way. Miami's going to be playing the Panthers next week, so Dolphins are looking forward to try and rip 2 off here and potentially climb back into this thing. And I don't think they're going to climb into it. I don't think they're going to be in the race for the wild card, but maybe this is a sneaky team that just beats a couple teams somehow here and there. They have a good defense. Defensive line can get after it. I think the run defense needs to get a little better. I think it struggled last game, but versus the Jets. But nonetheless, you get the win. And Mike McDaniel preserves his job. Dolphins up 2. Giants. I told you that this game could be closer than what that game could be closer than what a lot of people think, because Dart, no film on Dart. So, you know, I thought Dart played good. I thought, he obviously played well enough to win, but the Giants defense really showed up. Really wasn't a fan of the Chargers play calling, but I do want to give the Giants their props. I wanted to move them up more, but they have to show me consistency, and they have to continue to win more games if they want to move up, which it's capable. If you could go in and beat the Chargers like that, now it is one game where things happen in the beginning of the year all the time. But the Giants do have really good defense. Defensive line front seven might be one of the best in the league. Burns leading the way. Dexter Lawrence is incredible. I mean, that Giants defensive line, Abdul Carter, the Giants defensive line is gross. If the secondary can play consistent, then this Giants defense is one of the best in the league. If not already without that, it's just a matter of what could Jackson Dart in this offense do, and maybe that puts pressure on opposing offenses. Be like, oh, okay, we got to kind of score because Malik Neighbors going down really hurts. They got to do something about that turf, but Giants are up 4 spots, man. I mean, round of applause to them. Jackson Dart gets his first start as a rookie. Even though he didn't really pass the football a lot when he did, I thought he did a good job. He seemed confident. He was calm. Seemed like he was ready for the moment. And props to Jackson Dart. Hopefully, beating the Chargers like this gets his confidence up. Maybe this is exactly what this Giants offense needs to get a kickstart. If you could do it against that Chargers defense, you could really do it against anybody. Chargers defense is gross. Very good. Only a handful of defenses better. Giants defense may be one of them in some ways. Bengals down 3 spots. Just pretty much beat up in all ways in this game. They did pick off Bo Nix once, but then Bo Nix came back and completely obliterated them the rest of the game. He bounced back really nicely. But without Joe Burrow, the Bengals are just the Bengals before Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? They don't have much going for them, no online. They try to get the run game going for Jake Browning, but can't get it going because you really don't have an offensive line to make any room and to get any push. So Bengals are down 3. Panthers. The special teams play really killed them here. If you go back and you look at this game, you look at the box score, the Panthers had the advantage in time of possession by 10 minutes, which is absolutely absurd. They ran a lot more plays. If you go and you look at that, it's like, okay, how does that work? It's just, the Patriots offense, when they had to go the distance, they found a way. And they capitalized on their big special teams plays. So, but not a good look for Carolina getting smoked by the Patriots. You had that beautiful game versus the Panthers versus the Falcons the week prior. I thought they would come out and beat the Patriots. I felt like the Panthers, they moved the ball at the beginning very well. They moved the ball well at times. It's just they couldn't finish drives. They couldn't really sustain drives. So it is what it is. Down 5. They get absolutely smoked. The Browns are staying put. I think the Browns are okay if they get I think they get stay put at 24. The Packers win is definitely holding a little bit of weight right now. But I like what I see from this Browns defense. One of the best in the league. Offense just isn't there. Only if they had decent quarterback play, maybe I think they should throw Dylan Gabriel in for the heck of it. It really can't get much worse than Joe Flacco. Flacco, it seems like he's very good the first few plays, the first drive, the scripted plays of the game. But then as soon as you come off of that, boom, Flacco is gone. He starts games really well. Just can't keep it growing throughout the game. Quinshon Judkins looks awesome, though. Cowboys are up 2 spots after a tie with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. Really didn't even think that this game was going to be close. But Cowboys find a way. Cowboys offense finds a way. I think with a little help from Jordan Love. Jordan Love didn't play a good game. But, even though it's not a win, it's not a loss. And you tied with one of the more talented teams in the league. One of the toughest teams in the league. Maybe it's another early season thing. You really never know. But I'm still moving them up 2 spots after that loss because they did show that they could hang in there, especially offensively, and we kind of knew that. And if CD could come back and he comes back strong, healthy, him and Pickens, Mwah. That's going to be tough. Javonte Williams, mwah. Jake Ferguson, mwah. And then, of course, the man leading the way, Dak Prescott. Up 2 spots. You know, if CeeDee Lamb can get healthy quick, if Cowboys can find a way to string a couple games together, maybe, just maybe, they can make it around the playoffs with that defense. That defense needs, that defense is going to hold them back, and it's going to probably be the reason why they don't. Ravens down 10. I don't care about their reputation. I don't care what they've done in the past before this year. Right now, we're looking into week 5. Right now, it's post week 4, and the Ravens are 1-3. You lost Lamar Jackson, and you get absolutely smoked this game. It wasn't even close. You get smoked. The Chiefs dominate you, and the Chiefs haven't been, the Chiefs finally coming out of that shell a little bit, look like the Chiefs that we know. But still, if you want to be one of the better teams in the AFC, if you want to go ahead and make a statement, and finally be that team, on paper, the Ravens are like the best team in the NFL to me. On paper, coming into the league, I thought the Ravens were the best team in the NFL, one of the best. Right now, they're a borderline bottom 10 team in performance, just not translating to the field. You're 1-3, and now Lamar's hurt. He has a hamstring strain. Yeah, it's not looking good for the Ravens season this year. It's not looking good. It's looking pretty good for the Steelers. So Steelers might have not a free division. It's a pro league. It's tough, but the Bengals, if they could stick with it, and Burrow can make a fast recovery, maybe the Bengals go and trade for someone and they try to keep themselves in it. But with how bad the rest of the Bengals team is, the defense is so bad, offense so bad, I don't know. But Ravens, getting off topic here, Ravens, borderline bottom 10 team. They dropped 10 spots after a very, very disappointing loss to the Chiefs. Not even disappointing. It's like, holy shit, what is wrong with the Ravens? They have the talent on paper. It's just not gelling right now. Bears move up 1 spot. Okay. This is a game where it feels like the Bears in the past would have lost. Maybe you could say they got a little fortunate at the end. But they find a way. So I'm going to move them up 1 spot. And the Bears are kind of rolling here. They're on a win streak. Kind of going to try and build some confidence in Caleb Williams. Let's see what they can do there. So the Bears move up 1 spot. Cardinals are down 2 spots. It's just, this team cannot play complementary football. It feels like when Kyler Murray's playing good, you can't run the football. You can't play defense. The defense is playing good, nothing else is working. When when Kyler Murray's playing good or Trey McBride's playing good, Marvin Harrison is, and then vice versa. It's just this offense. This team is so inconsistent. They can't get anything cohesive going together throughout 4 quarters. So, and the Seahawks are a good team. They fought back in that game. That game should not have been that close in the end. Maybe the Seahawks will have to pedal, be like, hey, okay, maybe game, but Cardinals fought back in. And the Cardinals, they gave themselves an opportunity, but they lost. They just have to stay more consistent. Look back to the Panthers game. Damn. The Panthers find a way late in that game to rally, make it a game late. As a Cardinals team, if they could be consistent, this is a good football team. But they can't be consistent. That's their issue. 19, you have the Patriots moving up 4 spots after just completely dominated the Carolina Panthers. And the Panthers just dominated the Falcons a week prior. You may be like, yeah, how do I have the Falcons that high? Well, NFL's a weird sport. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. But the Patriots, special teams, defense, making big plays when it matters most. I mean, this entire game was kind of like a wash. Felt like the Panthers were moving at the beginning. Felt like they were moving it in general at times. They just couldn't finish drives. And give props to the Patriots defense. Give props to the Patriots here, man. Drake May, with the limited action he got, looked pretty good. He found ways. It's like 14 for 17 he was, I think. Ran for a touchdown. Patriots running game. They can run the football. Trayvon Henderson, yeah. Impressive, up 4. Houston's up 1. I wanted to move them up more, but they did also beat the Titans. They beat them in pretty convincingly fashion, though. For 3 quarters, the game was pretty close. That game was anybody's game till 3 quarters. It felt like whoever scores the next touchdown, kind of was going to be the team with the momentum was going to find a way to win. When it was 6-0, but Texans get something going. They figure something out. I think C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins finally connected, and the Texans' offense just clicked. Could they keep it going though? They're playing a shooken up Ravens defense next week. Can they take advantage? Can they win that football game if no Lamar Jackson? It's gonna be big. If the Texans are gonna climb back to 2-3. The schedule is not easy. You have the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Niners. Niners could be tough if fully healthy. Denver, then you have Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's been looking good. And then you kind of get a break with Tennessee, but then you have the Bills, Colts 2 times at the end. The Cardinals are looking sneaky. Chargers, Chiefs. Tough schedule. I just kind of went through their schedule quick, but Houston's up 1 spot. Can they keep the momentum going? Can they stay rolling? This is a Texans offense is way too talented. Besides the offense line, Woody Marks absolutely incredible. Way too talented to, be playing the offense they did in the first couple of games there. But give props to the teams that play. Rams defense really good. Jaguars defense really good. Titans defense, it's good. Defensive line's really strong. I think the secondary could use a little bit of help, of course, but. If Texans are prop, they're going to move up 1. If they could string a couple of games here together, they're going to fly up these rankings pretty quickly. The Vikings. This team disappoints me so often so far this season. It feels like they have an opportunity to go and win this game. They have a good opportunity to win this game. I think the Vikings are the better team than the Steelers, but the Steelers outclass them in the way the Vikings want to play football. Yeah, the Vikings offensive line was injured, but next man up, bottom line, Carson Wentz makes a couple of boneheaded mistakes. I mean, it feels like Carson Wentz is one of those quarterbacks. He's going to set you on a high. He's going to be like, okay, Carson. Okay, Carson Wentz, you're looking pretty good. Good job. And then he just breaks your heart. That's what it is. It's a roller coaster of emotions with him. It is tough. But I think he gives the Vikings a better chance to win than J.J. McCarthy, to be honest with you. 16, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers moving up here 3 spots, and they put a complete game together almost. Ending was a little shaky, but they finally got the run game going. Gainwell ran hard. Offensive line played well. Aaron Rodgers got the ball out quick. That Rodgers and DK Metcalf connection got going. Props to the Steelers. They get a couple turnovers. The Steelers defense, may give up yards. They may struggle at times, but they're gritty, and they will take the ball away if you give them the chance to. So Pittsburgh's moving up 3 spots. They're 3-1. How good are they 3-1? They beat up on bad teams. I do think the Vikings do have a much better roster, but so they beat the Vikings. They passed that test there. They beat the Patriots. The Patriots are actually looking interesting now. When you did play a really solid team, the Seahawks, competent defense in front of you, offensive struggle. So I think when there's a competent defense in front of the Steelers offense, I think it's going to struggle, and that's when we're going to see the issues. But the Steelers defense is able to give them opportunities. And Rodgers looked absolutely incredible. Rodgers getting the ball out, running a little bit. The Steelers have a lot of talent in that team. It's just could it mesh together, and could they stay consistent is my question. The Falcons move up 1 spot to 15. So this one may be questionable. Losing 30-0 to the Panthers is definitely an issue. But they come back next week unfazed, unrattled. Michael Penix comes out, has a wonderful day. Pitts has a day. Robinson, it felt like this Falcons team was firing on all cylinders offensive-wise. And the defense made a couple of big plays when it mattered most on the stretch. So the Falcons will move up 1 spot. It's just going to be hard for me to shake that Panthers loss. 30-0, and the score looked bad, but it was so many miscues that set the Panthers up in good field position. It feels like the Panthers are a team that's going to take advantage if you make a lot of mistakes. But if you don't make a lot of mistakes, the Panthers obviously aren't going to take advantage, and then, Panthers might be in for a rough day. It all depends on everything. I think the Panthers are a decent football team. Right now, they're just not playing like it. I thought coming in this year they'd be a decent team, just not playing like it. But Atlanta, um, find a you find a big way to bounce back. And Penix looks good too. Kind of back to your old self. I really still think there were a lot of mistakes in this game. You could say this team is young, but I think Raheem Morris is holding this team back. I think if you have a decent head coach in there, I think this Falcons team, if they're more disciplined, then I think that the Falcons are a contender in the in the NFC. But with Raheem Morris, I don't think they're contenders in the NFC. I think Morris is really holding them back, and they have way too much talent on that team too. Niners are down 5 spots. Yeah, they get punished hard. Just a very disappointing outing. Couldn't really, the Jaguars defense is good, man. The Jaguars defense is good, but Brock Purdy coming back. I mean, he throws a couple picks, and when you turn the ball over as much as you do in that game, turn the ball over 4 times, and then when you do that, you're just not going to win the football game. You're outrushed by quite a few yards, by like 70 yards. Travis Etienne, Jaguars better pay him. But Niners, just a very disappointing loss. Very uncharacteristic to turn the ball over the way they did. Just a football team that wasn't in the rhythm, and give props to the Jaguars because that Jaguars defense is nasty. Although the Niners were still 8 for 13 on third down, still had more first downs than the Jaguars. But yeah, they find a way to lose this game. Yeah, Jacksonville does have that punt return. So then you had the special teams miscues. It's just the injuries, the mistakes, the uncharacteristic, things we saw from the Niners team just caught up to them in this game. And, that punt return kind of like put that game away because it just felt like the Niners weren't the Niners. And they have a lot of injuries, uncharacteristic. There's a lot of things that go into it, but you're going to be punished because there are other teams that are playing some really good football up here. Some teams, a little questionable and suspect at times, but Niners moved down 5 spots, even though they're 3-1. They still moved down 5 spots. We'll see how they could bounce back next week if they could. Denver, they're staying put. Completely awesome game they put together versus the Bengals there. I mean, Bo Nix threw the pick at one point, and then he came back, and after that interception, but it was pretty much all Bo Nix and the Broncos. J.K. Dobbins got going in this game, got the run game going. Defense played incredible. You could say, yeah, it's Jake Browning, but I don't care when you hold another opposing offense to not even have one touchdown, just a field goal. That's an accomplishment. That's a pretty big day. So props to this Broncos defense. Felt like this was their first game. They played complimentary football and they put it all together. Maybe it was against a Bengals team that just isn't really that good. And then when you take Burrow out of the equation, it's really, really not good. But Broncos take advantage. Feels like they put together their best game of the year so far. So, job Denver. Staying put, though. I want to see if they continue to do it. Maybe you could swap them with the Commanders here. But Commanders being at 12, down 3 spots, it's just couldn't stop the run. Turnovers helped the Falcons get up early. And then once the Falcons got up, that was it. There was no stopping them. And then, Jaden Daniels, it's hard to keep up as it is. Mariota is a decent backup. I thought that he played a decent couple weeks here, but it's not enough. It's not really his fault that the defense gives up that many points. But, you could also say the turnovers are pretty prominent. But I feel like they struggled to run the football in this game a little bit. Because they did really have that one big run from Chris Rodriguez, and then otherwise it was kind of like, again, a couple runs here and there. Didn't feel like it was consistent. Kind of difficult to get the run game going when you're trailing majority of the game too. So I get that, but just a disappointing outing. Defense is tough, but that Falcons offense is good. The Falcons are a very talented football team. It's just a matter of can they keep themselves out of their own way. But the Commanders moved down 3 spots. Disappointing. Hopefully, Jaden Daniels comes back sooner rather than later because they need him. Because that defense is tough, and we don't know how much longer Marcus Mariota is going to be able to weather it out. Packers are down 4 spots. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is a game the Packers should have dominated. The Packers should have went into Dallas, completely smoked them. I mean, these are professionals. Some of them have bad days. Some of them have better days. It is what it is. It's the NFL. Crazy things happen. But I'm not a fan of the ties either. Not a fan of, at least implement something for like college where there's just no tie. Don't like the tie. I just not a fan of it. What do you guys think? Are you guys a fan of the tie? No, I'm not. How do you even feel as a fan? You saw the players. Neither players were like jumping up, excited. It's just like emotions are just plateaued. It's like you don't know what to feel. You didn't lose, you didn't win. It's weird. But this game should have never been that close. Jordan Love might not be it. Did not like how Jordan Love played this game. He's had a couple of rough goes. Look at other quarterbacks, other offenses that have diced up that Cowboys defense, and I felt like Jordan Love was making mistakes, and Packers could have done better. Yeah, they scored 40 points, but I felt like it could have been better. Could have been much better. Not a bad day by any means by the offense, but the defense, just struggling against Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is wild, man. A lot of people crap on Dak Prescott, but he's a very good quarterback. But even though it's a tie, it's not a win, it's not a loss. It still holds weight because this is a team that you should have beaten. You come out after the Browns game, okay, rough game, early in the season. And that was, it is what it is. But then you don't come out next week firing. You keep this game close, give the Cowboys too many chances. I don't know, and I had to move them down pretty far. And there's a couple of other teams ahead of the Packers here that are pretty hot. And the Jaguars, it might sound crazy to have them up here this high. Maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction, but man, oh man, the Jaguars, if they could just get consistent quarterback play out of Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars are a really good football team, and that defense is crazy over the middle. It is very difficult to attack them over the middle, passing the football. They do a lot of things so well. They come after you. They get pressure. Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, Devon Hamilton. They all get pressure all day long. And Travis Etienne is incredible. He had a game. It's just you gotta clean up those stupid boneheaded decisions from Trevor Lawrence, or he throws the ball late, off target. Trevor Lawrence can stay out of his own way. Then the Jaguars are a really good football team, and they will contest the Colts for that AFC crown, and maybe Houston will too down the stretch here. AFC South's shaping up to be interesting. Chiefs up 5. It looked like the Chiefs that we know. Xavier Worthy comes back in the lineup, and Tyquan Thornton makes a couple big plays here and there, but he's not consistent. He's not really as much of a threat as Xavier Worthy, and the Chiefs just straight up put the foot on the necks and, pedaled to the metal, and they never gave up. They never gave it up. So, big game by the Chiefs. Could they continue to roll? Pretty impressive win by the Chiefs. You just straight up dominate them. I know the Ravens 1-3, not really looking like the typical Ravens. I don't care. The Chiefs go ahead and they put up a really good performance versus the Ravens, and we know that this Chiefs team is the Chiefs team that we all know and love. Most of us, anyways. Chiefs are up 5 spots to number 9. All right, number 8, you had the Colts. Kept it close with the Rams. Got to clean up those mistakes. It feels like they're making the same mistakes they made last year. Jonathan Taylor had the same weird fumble, and then A.D. Mitchell does it again. It felt like the Colts did play better than Rams at times in this game, but when it came down to the wire, when it came down to having to stop Matthew Stafford, yeah, that's your issue right there. And then Puka, he went wild. Puka Nacua went wild in this game, man. He might be. I think he's the best receiver. He might be the best receiver in the NFL so far within the first 4 weeks. But the Colts, they put up a good fight, and they're legit. They're definitely a team that they put the league on notice with this game. Whether even though they lost, but Colts, can they bounce back next week? It's going to be big to see a team like this, young team. Could they bounce back? And, because the Raiders are going to put up a fight. The Raiders may be down there at number 29, but they're going to put up a fight, and they're not going to go away easy. All right, then you got Seattle. Seattle moves up 5 spots. You may be asking, why do the Seahawks leapfrog all these other teams? Why do they leapfrog the Jaguars, the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Colts? I mean, this is just such a good football team, and I was not a fan by the way they finished that game. I was very close to, not moving them too much, but I'm like, no. Every week I've watched the Seahawks team, they made big play after big play after big play. And it was nothing short on Thursday Night Football. Unfortunately, like I said, they kind of let the Cardinals claw back into it. When you let the better teams do that, it's going to be difficult to finish. You have to finish games. But Seahawks, I mean, they're up 5. I think they're the dark horse in the NFC right now. I don't think a lot of people have the Seahawks this high, but I think the Seahawks are one of those teams. Sam Darnold just playing absolutely lights out. Big time drive in the game to kick the field goal and not even have to go to OT. That's an insane drive. Sam Darnold playing at such a high level. I mean, I think it's deserved to be up here at number 6. I think that these top 5 teams do separate themselves, though. Maybe top 4. Chargers. Did not like the play calling in this game. Jackson Dart kind of shocks you, comes in and scores in his first drive, so that kind of shocks you. That kind of puts a little bit of unexpected pressure on your offense. The defense did their own this game, did what they could do, give the offense a chance to go out there and especially for having limited film on Jackson Dart in this offense. For the Chargers playing the way that they did, playing the game that they did on defense, impressive. But lose Joe Alt, you lose. Now you're out both your tackles, so Herbert's going to be under duress all day long. He's going to be pressured, like wild again. You do have good weapons, but they just disappointing loss. Oh no, like I said, play calling is bad. Why don't you run the football more? Feels like you're running the football at a very high level. Amari Hampton was running wild in this game, and I don't know why you don't feed him. Don't you? If they felt like it was too late to get the run game going, I don't really feel like it's never too late, until it's too late. You gotta stick with the run game, and that's what the Chargers should have done. They didn't. They dropped on 2 spots because a couple of other teams are definitely more deserving of being ahead of them. It's just straight up as it is. But the Rams are up 1 spot. I mean, big win versus the Colts. Could kind of say they got fortunate, but the NFL is the NFL. Find a way to win, and that big play to end the game, and then a couple of interceptions by this defense, turnover hungry. I think this Rams team might be the best team in the NFC. I think the Seahawks will challenge them in their own division. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be challenging for that division late in the season. They might limp, and then I think the Rams, not the Chargers, the Rams and the Niners are going to break off. Or not the Rams and the Niners. Rams and the Seahawks are going to break off, and if the Niners could get healthy, I think it goes Rams, Seahawks, Niners, Cardinals. You could probably swap a healthy Niners team with the Seahawks. You could really go either way. With the top of that division, it's tough, but nonetheless, that's how talented it is. Yeah, man, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, just an absolutely insane connection. Matthew Stafford is looking like the best quarterback in the league so far this year. Those MVP talks are going to get loud. Puka, Offense Rookie of the Year. Just, man, it's exciting to see this Rams team and see where they're heading. This is a Super Bowl team right here. All right, speaking of Super Bowl teams, we're unveiling the top 3. Lions at 3, Bills at 2, and Eagles at 1. I said that Browns game was not going to be an easy game, and it wasn't. It was physical. Browns defense is good. It's just there's only so long that defense could hold up for, or the Browns defense, but having Aiden Hutchinson back this year is such a big difference. Really makes a difference on the D-line. The Lions been running the balls. Yeah, but the Lions have been running the ball at will. passing when they need to. Defense is playing lights out. A couple of interceptions on Flacco, getting to him consistently. So Detroit's at 3. Bills have a chink in the armor. There's something to monitor with the Bills, and that is their run defense. If you can't stop the run, that's going to have to be shored up as the year goes on. Now, we've seen the Bills make adjustments, get things figured out as the year goes on, but a run defense is typically not something that gets fixed that much. I believe the Bills are currently second in the most rushing yards allowed, and it's not even close compared to the third. But they let the Saints stick in this game for a little bit, just to, stick around. But still, not even at their best, they still put up 31. Still won by still won in double digits, even when they're not at their best, which pretty damn impressive. But a couple turnovers in the offense too. But Khalil Shakir making plays, Ken Coleman making big plays this game too. But the Bills number 2, Eagles number 1. Man, I mean, I can't punish them. They found a way to come back, and they found a way to hold off the Buccaneers. Was it a fumble? I don't think that was a fumble. No, I do think it was a fumble. But Eagles sitting here at number 1. They, it's just they got to put a full game together, and I like the creativity with the QB sneak with like faking it and then handing it off to Barkley. I like that. Obviously, the Eagles have some serious firepower. They just have to, get to be using it more consistently in, all 4 quarters. And this game, they put together a much better game than last week. Really should have lost the game last week versus the Rams, but it is what it is. You move on. That's it. But Eagles number 1. I can't really take them off the number 1 spot right now, but appreciate you guys for tuning in for my NFL Week 5 power rankings. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on so you know when I'm saying future videos, and I will catch you guys next time. This is JW. This is Jason. Catch y'all for our weekly predictions.